If you're stuck at 20% body fat, I get it. You're not really overweight anymore, but you're not lean either. Your abs are still hiding, your shirts don't fit the way you want, and it's frustrating as hell. Tons of my clients have been there, but we broke through, and I'm gonna show you exactly how. So in today's video, I'm gonna break down the 5 fat loss mistakes that's stopping you from getting down to 10 to 15% body fat so you can finally see your abs. Let's jump right into it. Okay guys, mistake number 1 is gonna be continuing to aggressively diet. Now, I used to think getting ripped was all about just eating less, cutting out junk food, moving more, and having a lot of discipline. Now, to a certain extent, that's obviously very true, but guess what? If you've lost a lot of weight and you've lost a lot of body fat, and let's say you've been dieting down for like 4 to 6 months, but now you just feel stuck, well, we have to change our approach opposed to just banging our head against the wall. So what you actually probably need to do, and I'll elaborate more later on in the video, but you probably have to actually increase your calories temporarily, or how I like to call it, a diet break, because guess what happens when we lose a lot of weight and a lot of body fat? Our bodies don't want us to lose fat. And essentially, it's like, shit, like what's going on here? So when you drop down to a certain threshold, let's say at this point you're 20%, our body basically wants to stay there. And what it's typically going to do is it's going to tell your body to move less. Because obviously weight loss, right, is calories in versus calories out. And if our calories are way too low, well, our brain's going to tell our body, okay, we got to compensate, for the lack of food. So we're just going to move less, even though you might not even realize it. It's like that subconscious thing. Now, a good analogy for you to really understand what I'm trying to say here is, have you ever tried to kind of pull something out that's like stuck? And like the more you pull and pull, you pull, the worse it gets. And eventually you probably break the thing off. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to trying to diet down. Like if your calories are already super low, and again, I'll talk about more about this later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But if you just keep cutting and cutting, you're only going to make things worse. So my big takeaway for you on point number 1 is, if you are and you have been dieting down for 4 to 6 months, your calories are low and you still are stuck, take a diet break for 4 to 6 weeks, increase the calories a little bit. Again, more on this later on. And if you do that and they'll go back down to your original number, you're gonna get over that fat loss plateau. That's what Ken did. We kind of got stuck after a while. Once he did that, you can actually see his abs right now. So I'm gonna share basically the rest of the video how to get under that 20% threshold by following and making sure you don't do these next 4 mistakes. Okay guys, mistake number 2 is you're chasing weight loss, not muscle retention. Now there should be one goal, and only one goal only, when you're trying to lose fat. Your goal in a fat loss phase is you want to lose as much fat as possible, but keep as much muscle as possible. And if you lose like a shitload of weight, but a lot of that is muscle, well, guess what? Mission has failed. Because your goal is not to get smaller, your goal is to get leaner. And I remember with my clients, I used to be very fixated on the scale, and I used to chase that weight loss, right? Like lots of like cardio, not enough calories, didn't really focus too much on strength training. And I was just trying to basically get them like to burn as many calories in a day as possible by doing like high intensity interval training work. And like I said, and I talked about before, I just cut the calories like crazy. Well, guess what happened? We saw a pretty good result, which got us down to like that 20% threshold. And if you're watching this video, you're probably around there right now. But then it made long-term fat loss so much harder, because what happens when you lose a lot of muscle? It directly impacts your metabolism. And if your metabolism lowers, of course, it's gonna be harder to get over that threshold. Now, the big change I made for myself, for my clients, that I still use to this day, instead of focusing on burning calories and slashing my calories to just focus on weight loss, my goal is we are going to preserve our muscle any way we can. And we do this by setting up a slight calorie deficit. So body weight in pounds times 10 to 11 is the general rule of thumb. Protein, of course. So you want to aim for 0.8 grams per pound in body weight for protein. Obviously, you want to focus on about 4 to 5 strength workouts per week. You do those 3 things, you're going to lose fat, you're going to keep your muscle, and then it's going to make it so much easier to get under 20% body fat, because if you just focus on weight loss, you're going to lose your muscle and you're eventually going to get stuck. If you do this, what I'm talking to you about in terms of the slight calorie deficit, the protein, and the weight training, and not being so fixated on slashing a ton of calories and burning as many calories as possible, you're going to shred the fat and you're going to keep that muscle. So make that change. Mistake number 3, you're doing the exact same things that got you from 30% body fat to 20% body fat. Now, let me give you a great analogy here, and I'll tie this back right to fitness. So who has ever played golf before, you know, to break 100, like it's not that challenging. Like you have to do some things good for sure, but let's say you shot like a 120 or 125, and for those of you who don't play golf, like that's not a great score, but let's say you got like 99 and you finally broke 100, you don't have to be great, you just have to improve your game a little bit to get you there, right? But if I told you, okay, now I want you to break 90, and for those of you, again, who aren't familiar with golf, the lower score you get, basically, the better it's going to be. So 90 is obviously harder than 100 to get. If I told you I want you to break 90, but you just do the exact same things and you really don't try to improve other aspects of your game, do you think you're going to break 90? Probably not, right? Now, time this back into fitness. It's the same thing. Like, let's say you did some good things that got you from 30% body fat to 20% body fat. So let's say maybe you focus, you did some workouts, you started eating clean a little bit more, you focus on step counts, but now you are a little bit stuck and you're looking to get to the next level. Well, this is where we have to up our game. And there's basically 5 levers that we can pull that are going to get you to under 20% body fat. Lever number 1. So I talked before that you don't want to keep aggressively diet down, but there is a time and place for this. Lever number 1 is you can lower your calories. Now, I'm going to warn you right now, you don't want to go lower than body weight in pounds times 9. So if you're there or lower, don't do that. Then it is time to reverse diet, which I talked about in point number 1. Go back to that. But let's say you are a little bit stuck at body weight in pounds times 10 to 11. You can lower it a little bit, 9 at the very minimum. And just make sure you only do that for, let's say, a month, maybe 2 months max, because you don't want to hang out in a low calorie range for a long amount of time. The second thing you do is you can increase your step count. So very straightforward. It's low impact in the body. Let's say you're walking 7,000 steps per day. You can bump it up to 9,000, maybe 10,000 steps a day. That's lever number 2 you can pull to help with weight loss. Lever number 3, you can up your protein. So this is extremely important too, especially if you are decreasing your calories to body weight in pounds times 9. You got to make sure your protein's high to protect your muscle. So we can increase it. So let's say you typically have like 130 grams per day. You can bump it up to maybe 150 grams, which will, of course, help with your metabolism as well and keeping your muscle retention. The fourth thing you do is, and this is the last 2 aren't as important, but they still are levers you can pull. The fourth thing you do is increase how many workouts you're doing. So let's say you did 3 strength workouts per week. Maybe you want to bump it up to 4 or 5. And the last thing you do, you can add bonus cardio at the end of the workouts. So let's say you did like your 45-minute strength workout. You can add about 5-10 minutes lightly on the treadmill to kind of get your step count up, which ties into the steps as well, to increase how many calories you are burning, but in a low impact way, because that's the name of the game, to lose fat, but protect your muscle. So again, your big takeaway here is you gotta level up your game. And if you do the same things at 30%, at 20%, you're gonna stay stuck. Pull one of these levers at a time. Don't do all 5 at once. And I guarantee you'll help get under and break that plateau. But just note, if you have been dieting now for 4 to 6 months, you'd want to go back to the reverse diet. But if you are stuck after like 2 to 3 months, you definitely can lower the calories, which I talked about when I broke down body weight in pounds times 9. Mistake number 4, you're miscounting your calorie intake, or you're just not tracking your calories in general. So if you're not tracking your calories in general, I got a very simple solution for you. Start tracking your calories. But let's assume you are tracking your calories and you're still stuck. Let me tell you a story that actually happened. And this happens so often because most guys really underestimate how many calories they're taking in. So I remember one of my clients, I think with John, he told me he was really stuck and he was having 2,000 calories a day. And keep in mind, like he was at like 210 pounds. So if you're having 2,000 calories a day at 210 pounds, you should be shredding some pretty good fats. So he told me he was stuck and I told him, okay, John, send me every single thing that you're eating, like no matter what goes in your mouth. Like I don't care if it's like sugar in a coffee, like whatever you're having, tell it to me, portion size, every single thing possible. So we did this for 5 days. And guess what the overall average of his calories were over the 5 days? It was about 2,900 to about 3,200 calories on average he was having for those 5 days, but he thought he was tracking and eating only 2,000 calories. So humans, and especially guys, is actually a fact, underreport their calories by 20 to 50%. So the main things that you want to look out for when it comes to tracking calories, number one, like this is a low hanging fruit, but this is your portion size control. So a lot of times we say it's like, let's say 100 grams of carbs, where in reality it's probably like 150 grams. Mistake number two in terms of not tracking calories accurately is going to be like sugars and milks and coffees. Like that stuff adds up. And just try to drink black coffee, like suck it up. It's pretty damn good. The third mistake is like oils too. So like we don't account for oils in terms of cooking. And even just like fruit juices, so stuff like that, that adds up if we don't calculate that. And another big one is just like bites here and there. So let's say you have kids and maybe you have a bite of their chicken nugget or whatever, a scoop of cracker or something. Those things add up over the days and over the weeks. So your big takeaway, like just what I did with John, is make sure you are tracking your calories correctly. And if you're not sure, give yourself the 10% rule. And the 10% rule that I kind of made up, I guess you could say, is whatever calories you think you're having times by 0.10, and that will give you basically the number you want to aim for to give you a bit of room for error. So basically, if I had 2,000 calories times by 0.10, what is that top of my head? I'm not a math major. Is that 1,800 to 1,900 calories? So that's the number you would aim for opposed to the actual 2,000. That way you give yourself a couple hundred calories of leeway room in case you are mistracking calories. Okay, mistake number 5 is gonna be a very fast one for you. But before we get into that, if you wanna know exactly how to track calories the correct way, I kind of show you exactly step by step how to do it in a video, and you wanna know how many calories are in what foods, I created a free document for you. If you want it, just grab it in the pinned comments below. Mistake number 5, and this is a big one, and I'll break it down here in 1 minute, but the mistake is you're trying to recomp way too soon. Now, if you're 20% body fat or over, you have one simple rule. You're trying to drop belly fat. And so many times, like in my Instagram DMs, people come up to me and they'll ask me like, hey, I'm about 23% body fat. I want to add muscle, or I want to add muscle and lose fat at the same time. No, one thing, drop belly fat, focus on that. Don't bulk yet, because so many times we try to like bulk cut. We're not at that stage yet. And the only time you should be increasing your calories if you're 20% or over is, you know, when I talked about before, if you're completely stuck and you're dieting down before and you maybe have to do a reverse diet. So very simple, guys. If you're under 20% body fat, I should say if you're over 20% body fat, make sure you are cutting fat first, not focusing on adding muscle, or trying to lose fat and add muscle at the same time. Now, I made a full video in terms of 3 stages to lose all your belly fat that basically takes you from like 30% to 10%, and we really get in the weeds of everything. So I'm gonna link it for you at the end. Make sure you check it out. I go into a lot more detail too in terms of the reverse dieting. Check it out right here. Please give me a like and subscribe. It helps the channel. And thank you so much for watching to the end, and we'll talk soon.